So hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 252, and in this video we want to talk about functions in derived classes. The first topic what we want to talk is how we can add a functionality to our derived class, and the reason why we want to do this is because the derived class should be a specialization. We talked about this a little bit, and that means it should has additional information from the base class. So for this purpose, I use my already created house class here. This is my base class. We have here some base information, and then we have here the class hotel. This is a specialization and it inherits from house, which means a hotel is a house. Yes, we know, for example, when we compare this here in the house class, I have here house number. A hotel has also a hotel number, so we can use that. House height, hotel has a height and how many doors, for example, and something like that. And when we go here to the functions, we have here some getters and yeah, something like that. Important is now I want extend this hotel with additional information, more specialized, not for the base, more specialized of course for the hotel. For example, yeah, let's say here I add here this random, I have, or let's add just a function, for example void special function. I have no name right now, and the question is now, can I do this right now like I'm showing you this? Is this allowed or is this just illegal? And the answer is very simply, of course it is allowed, because this is the reason why we use inheritance. First of all, you create your base and then you say, I want to specialize this base from this base. Say the hotel has its own attributes, its own properties and all this kind of stuff. I want specialize in this hotel. That's why I create here the specialized functions and so on. Of course, I don't create this one in the house. That's very important that you don't create it here, because, for example, this hotel special functions for hotel counts perhaps not in general for a house. For example, hotel manager. If I say here in special function, let's say here hotel manager function, for example, this one prints out the name of the hotel manager. Of course, in a house I have not a hotel manager function, something like that. But the important information is here you can just add the information and you have extended your derived class with a function. And of course you can call this one. Let's test this, how we call this. We create an object of this derived class. In my case this is hotel, and I call it, for example, hotel object, and here's my object which I just created. And then we can print, for example, something out, this hotel manager, or let's call this hotel manager function. And how we call this, very simple, like all time, like normal function calls. First of all, we use the object, in this case my hotel object. This is this one here, and then we use the dot one, and here it shows again all for that what we have access. And here is the thing what I created, this hotel manager, for example, and important, it must be public. And it says here, yeah, it's matching thing, because I have not, where's the hotel manager here? The hotel manager is anything like this one. Yeah, let's make here just for fun int int house number and return, for example, return 1, just for this purpose. But that's not a real function, but just so that we can call it. So you can see I extended here with a garbage function, which means it's not good. You should make it right. But you can see so far all good. We can extend it, we can call it, all fine. The next question is now, what is if I have a function in my base class? Let's watch a function in my base class here. For example, my random house, no, not this one. For example, get how many doors. This is one of this getter function, and I want to call it from my derived class, from this object which I created. How I do this? Can I do this? Let's test this out. So here's again, I copy this one just so we can oh no, we don't. Perhaps I'll copy this. Let's see. All right, we go here, and here's my hotel object. I right now get, and indeed I can call it. But the question is now, wait a minute. This function here is not existing in my derived class, and why I can call it. And the reason is very simple. Of course, we use inheritance, but careful when we use inheritance. You have all time check the access specifier. And the easiest way to check is like all time you just check if you see it here. Then you have access. The bad thing about this one is if you work with unknown classes, what I mean with that is, for example, you work online online libraries, then you don't know what the parent has sometimes, and you don't know if this exists and so on. But we will talk about this kind of stuff in future tutorials in more advanced topics when we talk about libraries. But right now you have to know, you can just use here the dot. Here are all the public available functions. And to check specific the parent function, you can use now here this other thing. You can write house, for example, not house number, house, and then double colon, and then you see only the parent's public available functions here, or variables. And you can see here is also our get many doors, which comes from our parent. That's also very nice to see from where it comes sometimes. And yeah, the important thing is we can call it, and of course we can only call it when the access specifier is right. What I mean with this, we go here get how many doors, and you can see access specifier is public, and important also the access specifier here must be right. We inherit public, which means we know this table. When you inherit public, it stays public, which means I can call it outside from hotel as well. Outside means you create an object and you can call it here. Here's outside. If it's private or protected, would mean only we can call it inside. Protected means I can call it inside. And if it would be here private, I would not even get access in my derived class. I think this kind of stuff you should already know by now. So this is just to show you how we can call this. Interesting is here, perhaps you should know this both ways to call it. This is a little bit more for checking what the parent says. This one is the normal thing what you probably would do if you don't care, and see here are all my available options. And yeah, then you get here again, get how many doors, for example, here again. This is the shorter way. I personally prefer this one, even it looks a little bit more complicated because it gives a little bit more information, and you know, this comes here, this is an object, inherit from parent, and then it's called from the parent function, this one here. All right, this is the thing what I want to show you how you can call this one. And now we have added a functionality, and let's talk about, can we change functional before we go change functionality. There is something interesting what we have to check, which is there is something new with inheritance, and I want to show you this one, and that is, here is a function which I just created. It is just random. It's not important what's in there, but it is called int random house number, for example. It's just a fun. And this one here, I just copied without changing anything to my derived class. All right, you can see here, I have the exact function here again. And now the question is this allowed? And you probably see it till now, there was no error. Yes, it is allowed. But why is this strange? Because it is strange, like I explained to you in inheritance. Inheritance means we extend just an existing class. In my case, we extend this one, and then we have this one, and now we have the exact same name here. So, and the question is now, how does the C++ treat this? And it is fairly simple. C++ just redefine what you have already in your base class. What does this mean, redefine? First of all, we check our function in our base class. Here I start, for example, I have here int random house. It returns a house number which is 111. And this int random house I can call. For example, let's call it. let's call it. And how we can call it, we just learned. This is a one way to call it. Let's do this here. Let's get rid of this one first, and I just call it this way. This is one way to call it. You can go and here this call it, and then random house number, right? So you can see this parent call is very nice. And when I call this way, I call from the parent, and it's indeed 111. But I showed you also just some minutes ago the other way around. I said, hey, you can also just use this dot here and see all the public available functions. And here is again this random house number, right? And when you make this one here, and now we have a problem. And the problem is it points out here something, anything like 1444 or something like that. And the question is, wait a minute, why they are different? Because let's check. The base one is, where's the base one? Is indeed this 111. The hotel one is changed a little bit here, 444. And the point here is why this is different. This one is the calls, the derived one. So this one here is calling the derived one, and the other one was calling the parent one. But the question is now, okay, what you should do? I mean, in the sense of how should I call it right? And the answer is just like I showed you. You can say, hey, if I want to parent, you have to specify now indeed house : because now C++ treat this one as the base, and the second one, the derived one, is overriding the base one, which means if you want to call now the derived one, let's copy this one and paste this one. This one is the derived one. These are all the functionality, and here random house number again, and the random house number here is overwritten, and the compiler C++ is taking that what you have defined here in this object, and it's called here redefining. We have redefined this one because the compiler says, when we have also talked about constructor, how the compiler is constructing these objects. First it goes here, construct this one, right? And then the compiler goes here and then construct this one, and when it's construct this one, it finds again this random house number function and then says, hey, wait a minute, I found this already, but I see you are going to change it, you are going to redefine it. So this one will be treated as a redefinition and in the derived class here. And that's why we have now here two different versions, and this is the thing what you have to learn and not get confused. Where if you have same functions in the base and in the derived class, they are redefining it in the derived class. That's very important that you get this one and understand this. So I think there is one more thing what I have to say about this redefining here. If you are redefining, you can even change the access specifier from the original one. What I mean with that, here, when I created this function, for example, int random house number, here it is public, right? You can see this one belongs more or less together. Public int random house number. Then I go here to my class hotel and say, hey, I redefine this one here. Here's my redefinition, which I put here. But like I showed you before, this one belongs to this one too. And I can even change this access specifier. I can say my derived class, you should not, for example, have access outside of this class. For example, I say, no, you protected, you stay protected. When I write protected, right, of course, like so. You are protected, but the other can stay public. So And then I get here an error. And the reason why I get here an error is I have redefined this, but I have also redefined the access specifier. This is also what you should know. You can have two functions with the same name, and the thing what you have to know is just it will be redefined, and important is this access specifier can be changed as well. This means I can't access this one outside, but still I can the other one access outside. You can see it here. The base, when I have used it here with this one, I can access it outside. And interesting is we can try to see if I still can call random house number here. Here, I still can call it. It looks like this, but no, that looks only so. It says here function hotel random house number is inaccessible. But it is still showing here. Here, we have still this problem. It is showing here in our public section. And the reason why it's showing here, because it's accessible in the parent. And then you have to write house, this one, and then random house number. This one, and then you work. This one, you see, then it works. Or you can check also the tooltip, I think. You can go here. You go here to the house number. And then important is here, check this tooltip here. This is little here. It says public void important hotel. And set house. Void set house number. Is this hotel? Yeah. Not really. Oops, this is the wrong one. Sorry. I want to show you this one, and I thought why it's a hotel. Sorry for that. I am tired. Okay, again, we watch the tooltip, and it says here public int house. Now it makes sense. House, the parent one. You can check. This one shows here, but it's the parent one. So when you get here an error, and it was first accessible, it was inheritance, then it's probably the parent one which was accessible, but not, for example, like I redefined here in my derivative class as protected. So if something like this happens, check this. And yeah, I think that's enough for this video. You have to train this a little bit. It's not difficult. You have just understand and train this. And if you see something like that, then try this out and it will work. All right, if you have any questions or any suggestions like all time, write in the comment section. See you in the next video. Bye, good luck and have fun.